Hi, welcome to Raise Sensation. I'm your host, Dan, and this episode is going to be an unboxing video. And my version of unboxing is not getting a new product in the mail and showing you what I've managed to pick up. It's going to be me looking through a box from my storage unit that I need to go through and whittle down a little bit. So I'm going to flip through some stuff and hopefully you'll find it interesting. Okay, so let's go through these mags here. The first one will be this issue of Fangoria, and it's number 23. Like I said, I think this is at least the first article. It's probably not the first mention, but it's about the Evil Dead. There's also an article about the controversy over who really directed Poltergeist, Tobe Hooper or Steven Spielberg. I don't think they really legitimately answer that. But they try. And Halloween 3 and Incubus. And so here we go. Like I said, I'm just going to flip through them real quick. Effects of Halloween 3. Of course, Halloween 3 is the infamous one that just about sank the series, although I think it's a good one. It doesn't have anything to do with Michael Myers. It was a standalone story. They had wanted to make it into an anthology, and that didn't work out for them, which is too bad. It's not a classic. It's a little wobbly as far as, I don't think it builds quite the way it needed to, but it's good. It's definitely above average. I really enjoyed it. Some of the effects there. Good old Fangoria. The last horror film. That, another one where they're saying that there's a controversy. And leave it at that because I don't want to go too much into every article here. But there's the Evil Dead. Stephen King calls it the most ferociously original movie of 1982. That ended up on the poster, I believe. And here's some early shots of the effects from the Evil Dead. Nice to see it. Nice to see these early shots. I remember this. I was really super excited when it finally played DC. At least when I saw it, I saw it at a really small theater down in Georgetown. I wish I would have seen it at a better theater, but still blew my socks off. Loved it. Here's the whole poltergeist controversy thing. Edwin Neal from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre interview. This became a regular, well, I don't know, regular, but Alex Gordon reminisced in several articles for Fangoria over the years. Some book reviews, a horror host, a look at the Seymour. This is for the play of Little Shop of Horrors. Curtis Harrington, Queen of Blood. Oh, this is weird. The Incubus is a movie I did not get to see this in the theater. I really wanted to. I guess I missed it somehow. At this time, I was seeing a lot of movies. A lot. DC was a big movie town. I used to see all kinds of movies all the time. They had great foreign cinemas. They had a couple places that were playing Hong Kong and Chinese films. And there's just so much to see in DC at that time. And the book is really. That is not from the Incubus. That's from Return to Witch Mountain. But this shot is the demon from the Incubus. The book is, needless to say, a little bit better. The budget wasn't so low. you didn't. I mean, they didn't worry about the budget. I'm saying book, and it's a kind of a gross book. It's a kind of splattery book, and it has elements of the demon rapiness because he's the funny thing is that a lot of the early deaths in the movie by the incubus seem like slasher deaths, and they were inspired obviously by the slasher movies of the time, so I guess that's not too unreasonable. But at first I was worried. I was going like, wait, are they even going to have the demon? But you don't really get to see the demon that well in the movie, which is probably just as well. But I did obviously get to see the movie later on VHS, and I think it's worth checking out for John Cassavetes' turn, slumming in another low-budget movie. It's kind of an interesting movie, and worth seeing, and the book is worth tracking down if you can. This is a Fangoria knockoff. This is from 1988. Like I said, the vast majority of stuff in there is Fangoria. This isn't a box of fanzines. This is a box of Fangoria wannabes. Well, there is one fanzine, I guess, but this, there's here's so here it's saying they're talking about the movie Vengeance, the Demon. It says formerly Pumpkinhead. And as we know, it actually did hit theaters as Pumpkinhead. So obviously there was a lot of switching around there. Here's movies to watch out for: The Fly 2, The Lair of the White Worm, Millennium, and this is a UFO conspiracy movie with Chris Christopherson, in case you don't recognize that one, and Cocoon: The Return. So Howling 4. Oh boy. And The Watchers, which the Dean Koontz book generated a lot of buzz with horror fans. The movie, not so much. Waxworks, which I think turned out to be, I haven't seen that in a long time, but I remember liking it. The Deep Six, that's actually that was actually released as, I think, Deep Star 6. Pretty sure that's what it was called. And that's one of a trio of undersea monster movies that came out at the time, and they didn't let them have any revealing photos for this, but there is a giant monster at the end, and this suit figures in the movie poster. What is this? This is a little review. This is a great fanzine, Crow. I hope, I don't know, I don't remember the last time I saw that. Hopefully I still have that in my collection. That was a great fanzine. It's not a horror fanzine, but somebody cool must have written this up at Fangoria and added that in there. That's good. Little column by the Robert talking about his roles in various films, including as Freddy. Here's a look back at haunted houses in older films. The Haunting, The House on Haunted Hill, goes back to The Shining, Burnt Offerings. Warlock was just coming out. Richard Grant had been in Whitnail and I, a very, very funny comedy about two drunken friends trying to survive a weekend in the country. I have a feeling he did not, the director was not very happy with having him in the cast, because he always talks about somebody who was forced on him and he really didn't like. I don't know, I thought he did okay in it. It's an all right movie. It's an interesting film. And here's an interview with Jim. I think it's pronounced Jim Wynorski. He's, he was an incredibly prolific, low-budget filmmaker. Worked a lot for Roger Corman's company. Nice interview there. Article on They Live. So, this actually could pretty much pass as our favorite Spanish werewolf gets an interview. This could definitely pass for an issue of Fangoria. I mean, this has got a great mix of stuff. Oh, yeah, when I said about Fangoria having someone hip on the thing, I forgot that I wasn't looking at Fangoria. This is Horror Fan. I don't know how many issues this lasted. Not a lot. Not a lot. Cyborg, Fright Night. Oh, and here's there is a Pinhead poster and another Hellraiser one on the inside. I never put up posters from things. Fright Night monsters. Did I miss the beginning? I guess I missed the beginning of the Fright Night article there. Yeah, Fright Night Part 2. I haven't seen that in a long time. I remember it wasn't nearly what the first movie was, but I thought they had a lot of good creature effects in it. I'd like to see it again. I might have to track that down. God told me to. Okay, I'm spending too long on each magazine. Let's get moving here. Dream Demon. A little article on AIP films that are on video. So yeah, that's actually not a bad issue. I have to look through that one. Now this is the one that I guess might be a fanzine. It's from England. I bought it at a convention. This is issue 15 from 1989. I think this lasted pretty long. I don't know if maybe it's still going on. I don't think so, but I think this lasted for a pretty long time. But yeah, it definitely looks like looks more like a fanzine than a. So it's Sam Hain, and this is Amsterdam. That was a thriller, not really a horror movie. And there's a article on some zines to send for. Skip and Spectre. Yeah. Okay, that's the letters column. Collector's Corners, where people could trade tapes with each other. Article with Freddy. An article about Freddy. Hookers. Yeah, this. So it looks kind of. It looks like a fanzine. It covers a lot of pretty mainstream stuff, though. So I don't know. And there's some reviews back there. Interesting. Movie Monsters. This was put out by, I think, Carlton. Is that who it is? Who did... Seaboard. Seaboard tried to, popped up and, they tried to do one of those things where they instantly have a comics universe, and they put out a whole bunch of new comic books, #1s all at one time, and to go along with the idea that they were trying to get in on the comics scene, they also tried to get in with the magazines that they were kind of tangential to that, the publishers with those. So this is Movie Monsters, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Well, right away, this is #2, February. What year is this? 1975. So right away they start off and they, with an article about 2001. People, That is not what I want in my monster magazine, okay? Ray Harryhausen. I mean, at the time, it wasn't that easy to find stuff on Ray Harryhausen, so that might be why I bought this. I think it ended up not being anything too new here, but you know, it takes it seriously and they talk about it, so pretty good. A history of Superman in TV and movies. Don't really care about that. I remember, you know, I like this the cartoon, the animated, the Fleischer Brothers, who did the original Popeye cartoons. Did a series of these that are usually packaged with Superman movies nowadays on like DVDs and Blu-rays, although they've been in other places too. But those are a lot of fun and worth checking out. There's one about a dinosaur that unfreezes from the Arctic, and there's one about a giant robot. Those are pretty cool. Article on monster bugs. The Outer Limits, that was a really creepy episode of that. There's from the movie The Monster from Green Hell, about giant wasps. Terrible, terrible. Stuff from Godzilla. You know, when I was a kid, I really liked Them. This is the shot from Them. But I will say I don't quite hold it as the classic most people do, just because they really don't shoot these giant... these are full-size props. And, you know, they just hadn't figured out how to shoot them to make them look like they were actually moving around and getting somewhere. So I'm always a little bit disappointed with the way they are. And everybody goes, well, that's all they could do with special effects in those days. But, you know, it doesn't take much to look around and see other films that, you know, if they had wanted to spend the money and make the movie... They could have done better, but it is you know, it's considered a classic, and it's fun to watch. I still watch it occasionally. Here's some of their other things. There's where they try and get in on the black and white horror comic bandwagon. Gothic romances, that's one where I don't know that any of these publishers did well with those, trying to revive Gothic romances, but they did it. They tried. An article on Frankenstein. With the emphasis being apparently on... I think they must have done it because somebody had just gotten a hold of a bunch of young Frankenstein photos. Because that's a good percentage of the photos there. Oh, there's even Frankenstein Conquers the World. And then they just put in these random pages where, like, there's the Cyclops from the Lost in Space pilot. And there's a Planet of the Apes scrapbook. An article on Rodan. Here I am saying I was going to run through these really quick, not make this a long one. Is this about Dracula or Bela Lugosi? Yeah, Remembering Bela. So a tribute to Bela Lugosi. Nice. Planet of Vampires. New comic keeps tradition alive. Yeah. Okay. See, this is there's a scrapbook of the new Doc Savage movie that was coming out, and here's that comics line, and that's why I laughed, because this comic that's keeping it alive just happens to be one they're publishing. Has nothing to do with Bela Lugosi. It just craziness. Wow. Yeah. There we go. And now let's do these. I'm gonna move a little quicker. I promise, people. Then I have this was one of my favorites. You know, I had outgrown Famous Monsters, but there wasn't really much else to go with, so I was still buying Famous Monsters, even though I really wanted something more. This was when I was a kid. I was growing up in Pennsylvania. Without too many places around to buy magazines or books or anything. This was very hard to find. So, you know, and it came out so seldom. So if it had been published more regular, this would have quickly taken the place. I mean, here's a Virgil Finlay piece. And this issue is number 20. It says Summer, which is, you know, maybe 2 issues came out that year. I doubt it though. Summer 1973. Letters that really, you know, great. And this is why I was so happy. Like I said, there wasn't that much on Ray Harryhausen. One of the few things I ever mail ordered was the film fantasy scrapbook that Ray Harryhausen wrote himself. But you know, that really, you know, it was a great book for the time, and I loved it, but I always wanted more. And this was, I think there were just 2. It was just 2 parts. I don't think it was 3 parts. Part 2, yes, part 2 conclusion. I'm sure I still have the issue, the first issue around 2, and the cover, the tribute to him, is a wraparound cover. Very nice. Okay, nowadays everyone's like, ho hum, more Ray Harryhausen, right? But at the time, wow. And so I'll go through this pretty quick. But look at, you know, this was great at the time. Nice big pictures. You know, the reproduction, all the magazines at the time were this, you know, all the monster magazines at the time were this, you know, newsprint that hasn't aged well and didn't print that well to begin with. The Vault of Horror movie, the anthology. It's an article. This was what, Theater of Blood. This was a bizarre movie. When Diana Rigg is in disguise and helping him commit these murders, it's so obvious that it's Diana Rigg that I didn't realize we were supposed to be surprised by the unveiling at the end of the movie. I was like, oh, we didn't know that? Otherwise, it's a fun movie. Let's keep going. Solian Green. It's right there in the middle. That's cool. That's cool. I don't know if they expected you to take that out. Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein, one of the greatest films ever made. And that's not just nostalgia speaking, or maybe it is. And this was a really, really great, the Frankenstein TV movie guide with all these synopses of all the different movies. I mean, it was fantastic. You know, this is N through, well, it's just the N's. This is all movies that begin with N. So, you know, well, there's Night of the Living Dead, Night of the Hunters there, Night of Dark Shadows, Nightmare Alley, Night Creatures, Neanderthal Man. This was a great resource at the time. I love this. I wish, you know, just wish the magazine had come out and was more easily available at the time. I'm not going to say anything about their mail order, but I am one of those people who had a bad experience with their mail order, so I won't go into that. So many people have done that. Okay. Let's keep going. There was a second issue in there. It's not the one with the other Ray Harryhausen, but it's a good issue. It's a good article. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Andy Warhol's Dracula and Frankenstein. I saw this article long before I got to see the movies. When I finally saw this, and it's basically a comedy, I was kind of blown away. I was like, what the what? Oh boy. You know, as much as I love my Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, oh, this is an interview with Ed Parker, a stuntman who did a lot of stunts in makeup. Or maybe he considers himself an actor who did some stunts. But boy, that was Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Not one of Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. Yeah. Phantom of the Paradise. Saw this. Maybe not want to see the movie. Didn't look very good to me. Yeah, Frankenstein, I had seen, they were trying to do this as a, hey, here's a great new movie coming out, but by the time this came out, I'd already seen it, and I did love it. And this was really good, because I hadn't really connected all the dots between all the different things George Powell had done, and it was great to realize that all these different things I was familiar with were actually the work of the same fella. Nice interview. Kolchak the Night Stalker. It's an interview with the, what's his name, Barry Andrews, who played the vampire. Barry Atwater, that's his name, Andrews. I don't know where I got that. Star Trek. Some more reviews. Random reviews. Oh my God. The Neptune Factor. I saw it at a kids matinee. Terrible. This is back when a kids matinee, I don't know what I paid. 50 cents, 75 cents. Was not worth it. Just absolutely. The special effects were filmed in someone's, some doctor's waiting room aquarium. Awful. And this is some of the first things I read about John Waters. Okay. All right. I'm picking up speed now, folks. Toxic Horror. This is from 1989, and this is put out by the same people who did Fangoria and Gore Zone and Comic Scene. Hopefully I still have my copies of Comic Scene around. There's some good issues of that. I don't know if I still have them though. But what happened was when other companies started trying to put out imitations of Fangoria, they were like, okay, we'll shut them down because we'll put out our own competition. And, so that's what they tried to do. The other magazines that people tried to put out to compete with them didn't last very long. And these magazines, Toxic Horror, didn't last long at all. And Gore Zone didn't last too long. It lasted longer, but so there you go. And I'm going to go through this pretty quick. Here's some movie guide. The pack. I think I might have read that book. Splatter guide. I used to have that. I don't have it anymore. I don't know what happened to it. Psycho Squad. Never saw that. Freddy books. Oh, and this is comics and related stuff. I love martial law. I know I saw the Clive Barker comic, but I don't remember it at all. So, but I do love martial law. I did love that. I have this book. It's a reprint of old crime comics. They were comic strips that were probably in the crime books. About kids getting dope, and forum school girls and that kind of stuff. It was just their exploitation things. And like I said, let's see if it mentions it. Yeah, taken from vintage crime comics of the 40s and 50s. Here's one of the first Alien series I think they're talking about there. Jason Goes to New York. I remember this. Yeah, this comic strip appeared in it. These issues. The Toxic Avenger. And this is about other trauma things. Rabid Grannies I saw an early showing of it before it ended up being kind of cut for some reason on video. I don't know if it was a secured R rating or something, but there was a much gorier version I saw at one point that was not on the video I saw then. It's probably been released now uncut. But anyway, it was a kind of goofy Evil Dead kind of ripoff. Kind of reminded me of Burial Grounds. So anyway, here's an ad for Deep Red. Yet another article about the history of Dracula in movies. 5. Okay. Okay, this is another company's takeoff on it, Slaughterhouse Magazine. This is number 5. This is let's see, 1989. I'm gonna get through this a little quicker. It's taking too long. Horrific animation from Japan. Oh, Wandering Kid. Yeah, that's some of these are they're not really, they're digitally censored, but they're pretty much X-rated horror, some of these things. And then there's our manga. They're missing some hard manga and stuff. Cool stuff. Yeah. That's a good book. It's kind of fun. There's a company that owns the rights to these, and they need to re-release them. I haven't put my big old head in that picture. Freddy, Jason. Okay, so this looks like Terry O'Quinn. What I loved in The Stepfather. This is about The Stepfather 2. Is William Lustig still a maniac? Nightbreed. So this is kind of very much a Fangoria wannabe. Here's another one of the ones that Starlog published themselves, their own competition, Gore Zone. So I won't take too long going through this. See if I spot anything right off the top of their heads. Another poster. Oh, it's a poster of the Leprechaun. How did I keep from putting that up? Oh, yeah, that's one of the reasons I didn't like this magazine is because, the page count was so small because, this magazine, these posters, I don't know what the other ones are in there. Sure it says on the cover. Gnome named Norm. That's terrible. Queer Polish News to the Dead. Sounds like a wannabe. Oh, yeah. Hiroku the Goblin. I think that recently got a new release on DVD. That's a real fun movie by the guy who did Tetsuo. These are shots from Tetsuo, which was a real wild film when it first came out. And the last thing I'll point out is Film Comment did an Exploitation issue. And it was actually pretty good. Toe Cooper. I think there was I thought the really interesting thing in here was, if I'm remembering correctly, this is the midsection, that's Exploitation. Good old David Friedman. His films got a second life thanks to Something Weird Video. And this is mostly sexploitation, not horror stuff, so. Pin up with Dr. Ruth. Article about early softcore films. Jailbirds. I thought there was some more there. Joe Bob Briggs talks about guilty pleasures. Incredibly Strange Films. That's a great book worth looking up. Anyway, that's all for now. I'm going to go through some more boxes in the near future, so stay tuned. If you enjoyed this, stay tuned. Otherwise,